Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is a screencast-matic presentation and recording for the warm-ups that coincide with the first half of the warm packet cycle for the current cycle that we're on in world cultures. Please remember that for full credit you have to copy down the question and the answer in full and format your answer content in a different colored font. Let's go ahead and get started. For Monday and Tuesday's lesson, what was medieval Europe like and what key cultural characteristics defined the feudal medieval era? We'll give you a few moments here to copy down the question, and then we'll move on into the answer. So basically, in terms of timeline here, medieval Europe really comes to form and comes into existence after the fall of the Roman Empire. After the barbarians invade Europe from all different pockets of course, Northern and Southern Europe, Europe begins to regroup. And of course, over time, civilization begins to expand again. Society builds. In Western European countries, new civilizations would form and create bigger kingdoms. Additionally, in terms of social order, a feudal system was established and maintained in medieval Europe, essentially depicting of a ruling class, a merchant class, a religious class, a warrior class, a farming class, and a peasant class at the bottom. This feudal structure in many ways kept society functioning fully and efficiently in medieval Europe. In terms of protection, each class played a role in helping to serve or protect each other. For example, during the medieval era, the knight class rises, with components of chivalry and also, of course, training and guilds. Fortifications would also be built too. Castles and forts were constructed in medieval Europe to house people of kingdoms, and even manors were built and expanded on the exterior of kingdoms too. Additionally, with expansion and encounters, as each kingdom grew respectively, so too would their corresponding military and their ambitions of takeover and victory, as they would often wage war with each other in Europe. Once you're finished with this, please move on to the next question of the day. From Thursday and Friday, how exactly did events like the Crusades and the Renaissance change Europe forever? Take a few moments to copy down this question, and then we'll move on into the answer. So, the answer to the question of the day, in terms of the Crusades, these were a series of wars that shaped Europe and Asia, largely around the issue of religion. You see, Christianity and Islam would engage in many wars around access to holy lands and more. The effects of these wars were quite damning, as the empires were reshaped and new leaders arose, new militaries squared off, and of course, war, in a sense, is bad for everybody, and there was huge loss of life too. Over time, though, once the wars were quelled and the Crusades were over, throughout Europe a rebirth begins to take place, called the Renaissance. Thinkers essentially drawn upon classical era of Greece and Rome, while trying to apply these teachings and, of course, achievements to modern times and contemporary times. So what happens is that in terms of academics, writers translated new texts and rediscovered ancient ideas and made them better. New inventions would change and shape European life forever. In terms of wealth, a rising middle class gaining wealth through increased trade and opportunities really helped life blossom, and changing feudal structures began to, of course, change the old ways of the feudal system in Europe. In terms of government and religion, too, new monarchies arose throughout Europe. New religious interpretations began to be evident. New printing press would expand literature and additionally, of course, written works, and new arts that became iconic with world history for anybody who really knows European history comes from the Renaissance era. So there you guys have it, the answers to the questions of the day. Thank you so much for tuning in, and good luck with completing the rest of the corresponding lessons that correspond with the warm-ups.